that FOIA investigation to produce relevant documents to the inquiry that we now know exist. That doesn't happen. And so this was a positive sign.
So the question is, what's to come of it? They had 400 emails released early. We found out that Loretta Lynch sometimes used an alias. I think it was Elizabeth Carlisle. We also found out they were concerned about the optics. Greg, what do you think?
This was the most improper meeting Bill Clinton ever had with his pants on.
Well, thank you. Dana?
I am surprised at how many people in the Obama administration used aliases to communicate. I remember at EPA, the woman that was there, she used Richard Winter. And all these. I mean, I don't think that is appropriate, and it shouldn't be allowed at all. So I guess it's good to get these out. I just do think that turnabout is fair play, and eventually, in 4 or 8 years, President Trump will no longer be president, and his supporters will not like it if the next president tries to look back into all sorts of things going back to 2008. 2016.
Jesse?
I can't believe the Obama administration forgot to shred these documents. It's just shocking.
Slipping.
I know. What happened? What I find confusing is, so they talked for about 45 minutes, President Clinton and Loretta Lynch, about golf.
No, and grandkids.
And grandkids.
Golf is so
I don't
boring,
even think
so that's not
I don't even think golfers talk for 45 minutes about golf. And I didn't even know Loretta played. I wonder what her handicap is. We should ask her what her handicap is.
Her husband was there.
Okay, her husband. Interesting. Turn of events. Oh, and they talked about grandchildren. So the grandchild at the time for Bill Clinton was like like an infant. I mean, the kid doesn't even speak. What do you say about an infant? He's like,
there's an older sister.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is that the one they talked about? I guess they don't believe what Trump Jr. said at his meeting, but they buy everything they said in the tarmac. I got it.
This is so nuts.
What do you think?
Where's my one more thing? It's so
Yeah, where is it? I'm hungry.
Well, I mean,
Okay, go
the
ahead.
Democrats all say, hey, you know, this story is overblown, and it's kind of
No, I think it is
old history.
Okay, well, I don't think it's old history. Yes, it's a previous administration, but it's something that people weren't able to get definitive clarity and answers on. It's something that Comey said there weren't any documents that relate to it. Now all of a sudden there are a lot of documents. Oh,
Where'd they come from?
Heard your often?
In fact, I think it's time for DOJ to just square up and be honest. You got something? Show it. One more thing up next.
One More Thing is brought to you by your independent insurance agent at TrustedChoice.com.
Hi?
We're looking for insurance.
Let's see who's free.
Is your insurance agent trapped? Probably. When agents work for only one company, their options are simply limited. But a Trusted Choice independent agent is free to shop around to find agent.com.
If you have moderate to severe plaque psoriasis, isn't it time to let the real you shine through? Maybe it's time for Otezla, a Premolast. Otezla is not an injection or a cream. It's a pill that treats plaque psoriasis differently. With Otezla, 75% clearer skin is achievable after just 4 months, with reduced redness, thickness, and scaliness of plaques. And the Otezla prescribing information has no requirement for routine lab monitoring. Don't use if you're allergic to Otezla. Otezla may cause severe diarrhea, nausea, or vomiting. Tell your doctor if these occur. Otezla is associated with an increased risk of depression. Tell your doctor if you have a history of depression or suicidal thoughts, or if these feelings develop. Some people taking Otezla reported weight loss. Your doctor should monitor your weight and may stop treatment. Other side effects include upper respiratory tract infection and headache. Tell your doctor about all the medicines you take and if you're pregnant or planning to be. Ask your dermatologist about Otezla today. Otezla, show more of you.
Now you can have everything. And your family can too. The 2017 Mitsubishi Outlander with standard third-row seating, one of America's safest crossovers. Well equipped for under $24,000. Get up to $2,000 cash back or 0% APR for 72 months on select models.
The average traveller visits loads of different websites before booking their hotel. That's fair enough. You want to make sure you get a great hotel for the best price. There are so many websites out there. How can you visit them all? Well, before you book, check on Trivago. Trivago instantly compares prices from more than 250 websites and apps. And that's how Trivago finds your ideal hotel for the best price. Hotel Trivago.
How we see, how we look. Great eyewear is all about both. Thoughtful design. Precision optics. Styles people love. At Zenni.com, we make it all stunningly affordable. So you can see the world the way it's meant to be seen. In perfect focus. Zenni.com. Eyewear for everyone.
With menopause, I expected hot flashes. But struggling to zip my jeans? I'm not ready for elastic waistbands.
Only Estroven Weight Management helps safely manage weight and relieves hot flashes. Safe, trusted Estroven.
You know you get 3 courses, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's back at Ruby Tuesday. For just $13.99, enjoy our endless garden bar choice of 3 entree favorites and 2 new desserts.
I can't do it.
Rookie mistake. Enjoy 3 courses, just $13.99 at Ruby Tuesday Garden Bar and Grill.
It's time now for one more thing. Jesse?
Dana thinks she's got dog OMTs. I got a better one. Roll it.
Let's see it.
Demon dog.
Oh, God.
Gutfeld sent it to me just to like get Dana's goose. That's all I got. Demon dog.
So
Wait a
cute.
second.
Kimberly, you got
That
the best
is
one.
So freaky. Okay. All right.
I just want another meatball.
It's my segment. Hold on. All right. Kimberly's food court.
So hungry.
Oh my God. You're my shot.
Look at the shot. Look at the
You're
shot.
ruining my segment. Move.
Thanks.
All
Don't
right.
block the shot.
We did some investigative reporting for Kimberly's Food Court because that's what we do. It's how we roll. And remember last week we talked about we ate these delicious Cheetos? Well, they had a Cheeto pop-up. It is extremely popular, all sold out. These are the fabulous dishes, all right? Cheeto meatballs that clearly Greg almost split his pants trying to get up to get. So terrifying.
I will later.
Cheetos grilled cheese. Take a bite, Jesse, please. You're my prop. All right. And tomato soup right here. Jesse, you have some. Wash it down. Flamin' hot and white cheddar mac and cheese and flamin' hot lemon chicken tacos.
And excellent bacon.
Isn't this a delicious?
Excellent.
And
Greg,
we
you're
all
next.
ate the
All right,
bags
I'm going to
of
skip
Cheetos.
my Secrets of Happiness. I'll save
okay.
that for tomorrow. But my podcast tonight, and go to foxnewspodcast.com. That's Charles Fleischer. Charles Fleischer, if you don't know who that was what's his name? Scarvino and Welcome Back, Kotter. He was a nemesis to Vinnie Barber. But he was the voice of Roger Rabbit. Brilliant comedian, but a fanatic about mathematics and the universe. Check it out. It's a good podcast.
Are you joking?
There's a new, I'll tell you what podcast I just posted tonight too, so that's good. And also, I'm going to be gone the next 2 days because it's happy anniversary eve to my husband Peter. So we met 20 years ago tomorrow on an airplane, and in honor of that, we're going to post the excerpt from my book. And the good news is up on Facebook, so you can see. Maybe there'll be a picture too of when that was 20 years ago.
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary. All right, Juan.
And to Jasper.
All right, so history was made Monday. For the first time, a black woman was chosen to lead the 4,400-member Corps of Cadets at West Point Military Academy. Simone Askew became the first captain. She'll lead her classmates, speak on their behalf. Listen to her reaction.
Oh, my God.
I was excited, but also thinking, hey, what a great team we're going to have. So really, it's humbling, but also exciting as I step into this new opportunity to, lead the Corps to greatness with my team with me.
Spicy?
So what a change from last year when a group of black women at West Point were criticized for posing in solidarity to Black Lives Movement. This is awesome. Congratulations to her and to the military.
We love it. God
we are
bless.
proud of you. We hope to meet you soon, someday. All right, Sector DVRs. Never miss an episode of The Five. Now Hannity is really up next.
Many thanks to all our friends on The Five. Welcome to Hannity. This is a Fox News alert. The radical destroy Trump media is unhinged. They're having a collective emotional breakdown. Why? The president didn't say everything they want the way they want it said about Charlottesville. They are twisting, they are distorting, they are taking the president's words out of context. And tonight, we're going to do something they don't do. We will lay out all the facts and tell you the truth about what is really going on in a very divided America tonight. And that's tonight's opening monologue. All right, what the Destroy Trump media is now doing is beyond malpractice. The Destroy Trump media has now worked themselves into a frenzy over the president's comments about the chaos in Charlottesville. Here's what the president said yesterday. Take a look.
I've condemned neo-Nazis. I've condemned many different groups, but not all of those people were neo-Nazis, believe me. Not all of those people were white supremacists by any stretch. You had a group on one side and you had a group on the other, and they came at each other with clubs, and it was vicious, and it was horrible, and it was a horrible thing to watch. But there is another side. There was a group on this side, you can call them the left, you've just called them the left, that came violently attacking the other group. So you can say what you want, but that's the way it is.
Now, as the president did Monday, as he did yesterday, the president condemned now over and over again the KKK, neo-Nazis, white supremacists, other hate groups, but he also laid out some of the facts about what happened. Here are the facts. Nobody wants to tell you. All right, here's the video from Saturday. Everybody agrees these white supremacists, you know what? They evoke a natural rage in people. And the people who provoked everything were them, the white supremacists. They are, without question, the most responsible in things that happen here. And every decent, good American should unequivocally oppose everything they stand for. But there is violence. What the president said is true. That came from both sides. Now, that is clear from the video that you're watching. Now, what seemed to set the media off yesterday is that the president said there was violence on both sides. Whether we like it or not, this is an important point. The First Amendment does protect even hate speech. It's why even the ACLU defended these white supremacists and their right to say what they want to say, whether or not we like it or not. You are not allowed in America under the rule of law to get into fistfights, to punch people, engage in fighting because you don't like what they say. Now, despite those facts, the media is living in an alternative universe. Why? Because all they want to do is destroy the president. Now, watch this insanity.
Why is President Trump showing sympathy for white nationalists and other hate groups? One editorial board of a big paper, the president, America's bigot in chief.
He's now given safe harbor to Nazis, to white supremacists. He's so disgraced, not just the Republican Party, but the country.
Donald Trump, short of only maybe Woodrow Wilson and Andrew Jackson, is being himself more than any other previous president with disgraceful racial views. That's the truth. He's not pandering to people. These are his views.
I think people now realize that this strain of white nationalism in the White House is, in fact, something that is more closely associated with the president himself.
Barack Obama was a black president. Maybe he didn't think that Barack Obama was fit to be in office. He traded on racial animus and racial BS, and he's been doing it for decades. Anyone who is in that White House and who is supporting him is complicit in their racism as well.
It was disturbing, John. I think we saw the president's true colors today, and I'm not sure they were red, white, and blue.
We can surely say his words have absolutely emboldened white supremacists.
You know, it's a tough night. I think for normal people, you got a lot of people at home going through Kleenex right now. I'm just hurt. I'm sitting here hurt. And I think a lot of people are hurt tonight.
That the guy that said a white lash. Now, you got to understand something that's going on here. This is very, very important because last week, it was the media. They wanted to convince you last week that President Trump was a madman who wanted to go to war with North Korea. In case you've forgotten, take a look at the tape.
It just doesn't help when our allies and the countries in the region can't tell whether it's Donald Trump or Kim Jong-un who's the crazier one.
This is not the kind of language that we normally hear from a U.S. president during a moment of crisis.
It's not, Jake. In fact, it sounds like something you'd hear from the North Korean state news agency, the KCNA.
What you need to do is lower the temperature and not increase the temperature. And in a way, I think you could say that he's playing right into Kim's hands.
If you read a paragraph in the beginning of a newspaper that said this, a bellicose, threatening, immature, emotionally immature, insecure leader did X, a year ago, would you have thought the president of the United States was that person, or would you have thought the head of North Korea was that person?
Now, the ideological media in this country is creating a massive information crisis for the American people. Last week, the president is unhinged, a lunatic. This week, he's a bigot. And did you notice, by the way, anyone in America, did you notice he scored a massive victory? His peace through strength policies actually worked. Did you notice that North Korea had actually backed down from their threat to fire missiles at Guam? This dishonesty from the media is beyond despicable. It's so unfair for the American people. They are doing you a great disservice. Now, Charlottesville is only the latest perfect example. And let me remind the media, President Trump has denounced again and again in the strongest terms possible, as he should, these white supremacists. He tweeted out on Saturday, "We all must be united and condemn all that hate stands for. There's no place for this kind of violence in America. Let's come together as one." He also went on to say, "We must remember this truth. No matter our color, creed, religion, or political party, we are all Americans first." And on Saturday, the president went further and said this.
We condemn in the strongest possible terms this egregious display of hatred, bigotry, and violence on many sides. On many sides.
But all weekend long, the lying media, they were trying to convince their viewers that President Trump was somehow sympathetic to these white supremacists because he didn't mention them all by name. So on Monday, the president addressed it again. He mentioned them by name, condemned them again. Take a look.
Racism is evil, and those who cause violence in its name are criminals and thugs, including the KKK, neo-Nazis, white supremacists, and other hate groups that are repugnant to everything we hold dear as Americans.
And we played what the president said yesterday, but it's never good enough for a media that has an agenda that's ideological. President Trump, he's been condemning hate, white supremacists, David Duke for years and years. Now, this is something we're about to show you they will never show you about President Trump. I wonder why. Take a look.
What are your views on the Ku Klux Klan and white supremacists?
I totally disavow the Ku Klux Klan. I totally disavow David Duke. I've been doing it now for 2 weeks. You're probably about the 18th person that's asked me the question. I didn't even know he endorsed me. David Duke endorsed me? Okay. All right. I disavow.
David Duke announced his Senate candidacy, claiming your agenda for his own, or essentially saying, glad that you spoke out.
Are you ready before you ask the question?
Newt Gingrich said every Republican should repudiate this guy no matter what it takes.
And I do. Rebuked. Is that okay? Rebuked.
Rebuked.
Done. I disavowed him every time I speak to somebody virtually, and, they just keep it going. They keep it going.
How would you characterize in more words than one David Duke?
David Duke is a bad person who I disavowed on numerous occasions over the years. I disavowed him. I disavowed the KKK. I just did the Today Show, and it was the same thing. And I said, how many times do I have to disavow? Do you want me to do it again for the 12th time?
Well, I want to go on the record on this.
How many times do I have to reject? I've rejected David Duke, I've rejected the KKK, the Ku Klux Klan. From the time I'm 5 years old, I rejected them.
What do you see as the biggest problem with the Reform Party right now?
Well, you've got David Duke just joined, a bigot, a racist, a problem. I mean, this is not exactly the people you want in your party.
Reject, rebuke, condemn, disavow. When it comes to recognizing the violence that took place, and both sides were involved in the fighting. You needed both sides there. The media isn't even reporting the facts and telling you the truth. For example, let's take a look at a headline from the Associated Press and their reporter who was actually on the ground in Charlottesville. This is the AP. View from the street, police stood by as adversaries fought. They're reporting two sides. So the AP agrees with Donald Trump. This reporter is saying the police did not do anything as the fighting went on. The ACLU tweeted, quote, not sure who provoked first. Both sides were hitting each other at Justice Park before the police arrived. They added, the guy on the ground is a Unite the Right protester. Those in black and red are Antifa protesters. Now, also, where's the media demanding answers from the Democratic governor, Terry McAuliffe, the Democratic mayor of the city, about why the police did not break up the violence? Why wasn't the National Guard brought in? Hollywood leftists, they're now losing their collective minds. Remember Michael Moore? Watch what he says about all this. Take a close listen.
If you hold down the woman while the rapist is raping her, and you didn't rape her, are you a rapist? I mean, let's just really, let's cut the BS and start speaking honestly.
That's a very powerful and uncomfortable anecdote that you share, and people will think that you're comparing Trump voters to racists. I mean, to rapists.
Yeah, and it's uncomfortable, isn't it?
That is uncomfortable.
There's CNN, disgraceful, even for Michael Moore's standards. Next up, Chelsea Handler tweeting, well, it is time for the generals that Trump has appointed to declare him unfit for office, and he is unfit and unstable. This is madness. Chrissy Teigen tweeting, Trump is like actually racist. He isn't saying the wrong thing. He is actually racist and means this. Holy bleep, LOL. What a bleeping. Well, you know what. All right, so then you have Brian Fallon, Hillary Clinton's former campaign spokesperson. He sent out this tweet comparing the Antifa, leftist protesters, to the American heroes who stormed the beaches at Normandy to defeat the Nazis. All these people have now gone off the deep end tonight. We need some calm, we need some facts, we need some truth, and America should speak out against all extremism. Now, this started in January. Remember the Women's March in January? Madonna talking about blowing up the White House. Take a look.
Yes, I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
Johnny Depp talking about assassinating the President of the United States of America.
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president? I want to clarify, I'm not an actor. I lie for a living. However, it's been a while. And maybe it's time.
Robert De Niro saying he wants to punch President Trump in the face. Take a look.
How dare he say the things he does? Of course I want to punch him in the face.
Right.
And it was only a symbolic thing anyway. It wasn't like I was going to go find and punch him in the face. But he's got to hear it. He's got to hear it. You know, that's what he makes people feel.
These are but a few examples of the many, many, many that we could show you. And we can't forget Shakespeare in the Park. And there's also the image so disturbing, you get the viewer warning every time we show it. And that, of course, Kathy Griffin posing like an ISIS fighter with a bloody severed head of President Trump. And we can't forget about, let's see, threats Snoop Dogg, Marilyn Manson, Mickey Rourke have all made against the President of the United States. These Hollywood liberals, they need to stop feigning their moral outrage because clearly they don't have the high ground when it comes to hateful rhetoric. And also tonight, we need to talk about the Democrats and their rampant history of racism. This is something the Democrats, their allies in the liberal media, they're never going to tell you about either. Every 2 years, every 4 years, they pull out their political ads. They tear the country apart in a pathetic, it's their only playbook, attempt to win votes. They divide Americans. Want the proof? We've got the proof. Take a look.
When you don't vote, you let another church explode. When you don't vote, you allow another cross to burn.
On June 7, 1998, in Texas, my father was killed. He was beaten, chained, and then dragged 3 miles to his death, all because he was black. So when Governor George W. Bush refused to support hate crimes legislation, it was like my father was killed all over again.
This happens, we can predict, every 2 to 4 years. Disgusting, offensive, but it pales in comparison to what the Democrats have tolerated in their own party. Here's something the media won't tell you. Republicans have been the party of Lincoln, the Emancipation Proclamation. Democrats, what have they been? The party of segregation, the Southern Manifesto. Remember back in 1956, it was Democrats who introduced what was known as that Southern Manifesto. That's a document to resist the Supreme Court decision, Brown versus the Board of Education and the ruling on segregation in schools. Let's see. People like Bill Clinton's mentor, who he praised many times, J. William Fulbright, well, who's been praised throughout his entire career, signed it. It was overwhelmingly signed by Democratic members of Congress. In 1956, according to Politico, only 2 Republicans supported that. Then we go back to the 1960s, passage of the Civil Rights Act in 64, the Voting Rights Act in 65. Same Southern Democrats that tried to stop these historic pieces of legislation from being passed, including filibustering the Civil Rights Act for months. And then there's the actual vote tallies. Let's take a look at the no votes for the Civil Rights Act of 64. 112 Democrats in Congress voted against it, 41 Republicans. And then for the 1965 Voting Rights Act, 78 Democrats in Congress voted against it, 25 Republicans voted no. So I don't understand the Democrats, the media, that's their history. And some people in the Democratic Party today, praise those people that were involved in that history. Here's another fact the media is ignoring. George Wallace, one of the most racist, pro-segregationists in history, Democrat for most of his political career. Then there's Democratic Senator. Remember the former Klansman? Wasn't in charge that long ago, Robert Byrd. He filibustered the Civil Rights Act for over 14 hours before voting against it. And other well-known Democrats, to vote no, well, let's see. That's Bill Clinton's mentor, J. William Fulbright, and even Al Gore's father, Al Gore Sr. And once again, you would think Democrats would denounce and force those type of people out of their party. But instead, Democrats did the complete opposite, especially when it comes to Robert Byrd, former Klansman, Hillary Clinton. We've got the tape praising him as her mentor after he died. Take a look.
Senator Byrd was a man of surpassing eloquence and nobility. From my first day in the Senate, I sought out his guidance, and he was always generous with his time and his wisdom. I admired his tireless advocacy for his West Virginia constituents. As Secretary of State, I continued to rely on his advice and counsel.
Her mentor, was she giving Robert Byrd a pass? He was in the Klan. Now take a look at what Robert Byrd said to Tony Snow. This was back on Fox News Sunday in just 2001, 16 years ago. Take a look.
White. I've seen a lot of white in my time. I'm going to use that word. But we just need to work together to make our country a better country.
Pretty shocking. Former Klansman, would you call someone who says that your mentor like Hillary? Now, this just highlights the Democrats' massive double standard when it comes to race in America and the divide that they are contributing to. They have made race a political wedge issue in this country for decades, and they have used it, sadly, to rip this country apart. Last night, we showed you how President Obama, remember, he'd rushed to judgment, raced to conclusions before any evidence, any facts came out, any testimony came out in 4 particular high-profile race cases, rushed to judgment. President Obama made it a point to associate himself with groups like Black Lives Matter that chant things like, what do we want dead cops? When do we want them now? Pigs in a blanket, fry them like bacon. President Obama even invited Black Lives Matter to his White House and praised a Black Lives Matter leader, DeRay McKesson, while completely excusing his anti-police remarks. Just take a look at a couple of McKesson's tweets. Quote, "This feared for my life language is perhaps the new execution motto of America's largest gang, the police. Should someone who spews that hatred really have been invited to Obama's White House? Where was the media's outrage then? Let alone he was praised by the president at the time, President Obama. Then there's the issue of leftists destroying public property and tearing down monuments like what we saw happen in Durham, North Carolina this week. The left, they're up in arms over President Trump, asking where America should draw a line when it comes to removing these monuments. Well, now look, people can agree with what they think these statues represent. You can have honest disagreement. They don't have a right to destroy property. They don't have a right to be violent because they disagree with what they stand for. We have a political process for that. And as the president said, let local municipalities decide. Now, if the left is so upset over Confederate monuments, then maybe they should feel the same way about displays that honor racist Democrats, the ones we just told you about. Take a look at this statue. Robert Byrd, the former Klansman, in the West Virginia state capitol. Do Democrats now think it needs to be taken down? According to a local West Virginia website, there are at least 56 buildings, bridges, highways, centers, and other places that are named after Robert Byrd. Do they need to be renamed? Do they need to be taken down? Now, there are also highways, statues, other things that are dedicated to people like Al Gore Sr., J. William Fulbright, George Wallace. Now, if the left, members of the media, they're going to lose their collective minds over the latest attack against President Trump, I think it's important to remember this, in many ways, is selective moral outrage. And more importantly, at the end of the day, a huge distraction. This last election was about the forgotten men and women in this country. People on poverty, people on food stamps, and people that cannot find a job. As all these fights go on and all the undermining of the president continues, none of those people are being helped. That is a huge, huge shame for the American people. When we come back, Herman Cain will react to my opening monologue. And then later tonight, Larry Elder, Geraldo Rivera.